Hey guys, how are you doing today? Today I wanted to do a Pride video, and this is going to be a Pride book tag. Now, I don't really have Pride colours and I feel kind of bad because I don't own anything that I could have worn, but I did try something with my makeup today. I tried to do like a Pride rainbow lipstick thing. As I've mentioned on previous videos, I'm not very good with makeup. I know that it's not the best, but I was like, hey, this is a good chance for me to have a go at doing something a bit more creative. So yeah, I went with some Pride themed coloured lipstick, and I basically just used eyeshadow and just had multiple colours of eyeshadow that I just dabbed on, and then I did it with my eyes, and I kind of feel really good. I'm really proud. It is Pride month, it's June, we always celebrate Pride. We're not able to celebrate it the way that we would like to, so we can't really go out and celebrate. But I thought it's a great opportunity to do a book tag that is themed around Pride, and so what I did is I looked online and I looked at the Inclusivity Pride flag, and it's 8 colours and each one has its own representation as to what it means, and I thought it'd be great to do a book tag that celebrates Pride by looking at what those meanings are and how that can link to books. I myself I'm not out like Facebook and family out, but I am kind of YouTube and Twitter. Well, I will be YouTube out today. I am bisexual myself. I didn't realise I was bisexual despite the fact that I did date somebody who was female back at uni, but I was so scared to call it a relationship, and I just classified it as, oh, you know, I'm just going through a phase where I'm a bit curious about girls. And it was like, no, you guys were actually dating for like 4 months and you blew it, kind of thing, because I was afraid to say, you know. And it wasn't until last year that my manager, who is very gay, and when I say very gay I just mean he's very flamboyant and he's got that really upbeat, happy energy, and I was saying that I've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race and that I get very confused when watching it because I find myself very attracted, and he was just like, well, you're bi then? And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, it took somebody else to tell me that I was bisexual to realise that I was bisexual, and even then I didn't fully embrace it until about 3-4 months ago. That was after I had a chat with Rob about it, and he was just like, you know, I don't really care. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, that's me. It's the first year that I've actually felt like I belong within the community and that I felt brave enough to stand up and say it. So without further ado, I wanted to go into the Pride flag. I'm going to show it here so you can see the 8 colours in detail for yourself, and on this picture it'll also say like what each of them represent. I have gone for the diversity flag. I know that there are so many different flags out there, but I chose the one that I felt really spoke to me and had things that I wanted to include on there. Maybe next year I'll pick a different flag and I'll do a different track. I will do a different book tag based on that flag, and maybe each year I'll choose a different flag and we'll do a book tag related to that Pride flag. But for now, this is the flag that I've chosen. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the first prompt in this one is the colour black, which on the flag represents diversity. So the book has to be either written by or featuring a main character who is a person of colour. Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody is my choice for this one, because even though Amanda Foody herself is not black, the deuteragonist of this story, so the joint main character, Levi Glacier, is black, and not only that, he is also bisexual, and it has some pretty amazing scenes with him in, and he was by far my favourite character in this book, so that's who I've chosen for this one. We then have the colour brown, which represents inclusivity. So for this book I wanted to pick a book series or just a standalone that features a character who goes from being sort of a loner or feeling like an outsider to someone who finds their people, they find themselves. For that one, I don't have a physical copy of the book. However, the book is Relentless by Karen Lynch. This is about a girl called Sarah, or Sarah, I'm not quite sure which one it is, who knows that she has these weird and wonderful abilities, but as far as she's aware, she's the only person. And then she discovers that she has a demon inside of her that she's kept caged all her life. And then there's other revelations as the series goes on that I'm not going to go into now because spoilers. But over the course of the series, she finds a group of people who just get her and they become like her family, and she finds like the love of her life and things like that. And I just thought it was a really beautiful story where she goes from starting off the book where she is pretty much solo and on her own, and by the end of it she has this whole group of people around her who love her, support her and accept her for who she is. So I thought that was a perfect fit for that. The next colour is red, which represents life. For this one I wanted a book that made you stop and think about life. A book that really resonated with you and actually made you stop and think and reflect. For me, that book is All the Bad Apples by Moira Fowley Doyle. The reason I chose this one is because it does talk a lot about the injustices towards women within Ireland, and it goes all the way through history looking at the different ways that women have been wronged, particularly when it comes to having babies out of wedlock and when it comes to being gay. And the main character herself has just realised that she is gay, and she is trying to work through her emotions and her feelings, especially as she comes out to her dad and he does not take it well. And it just leads to a whole host of things happening. And I think even though I didn't like a lot of elements of this story, one of the bits I did like was the description and how detailed it was that they went into, where they talk about the Magdalene institutions. And if you don't know about those, I would strongly suggest looking it up or watching the film The Magdalene Sisters. And it talks about how throughout history women in Ireland, even up until I think 2018, it was still illegal to have an abortion. So women would run to the UK to have an abortion, but then they risked being arrested and put in prison when they came back. It's a really interesting one to stop and think about the atrocities towards women. Next is orange, which represents healing. So on this one I wanted a character who goes through a healing process, whether that be mentally or physically or whatever. And I chose for that Hunting Prince Dracula by Kerry Maniscalco. I chose this one. I'm not going to go into too much detail because there's not a lot I can say without heavily spoiling Stalking Jack the Ripper. But this is the second book after Stalking Jack the Ripper, and the main character, Audrey Rose, is going through some really, really rough mental health issues. She's going through depression, she's going through grief, she's going through trauma and PTSD symptoms, and she's trying to work through all of that throughout the book. And then finally, towards the end of the book, she does suddenly have this, like, she's not healed completely, but you can see she goes through a healing cycle and she starts to heal. So that's what I chose for this one. The next colour is yellow. So everyone knows yellow is sunlight, it's sunny, and what is sunlight but happy. So this one is a book that makes you smile or just makes you happy when you read it. I kind of struggled weirdly with this one. Not because there's no books that make me happy, but because unless I absolutely adore a book, I don't reread things. And I was trying to think of books that I've read that really made me happy and left me smiling at the end. And I realised there will be a day when Nalini Singh does not come into my videos, but it is not this day. And that book is Caressed by Ice, which is book 3 in the Side Changeling series and follows Brenna, who has gone through this horrendous torture. She's broken inside. She's going through so many emotions. And then there's also Judd, who has just defected from the Psynet, and you know, he's this cold, emotionless person, and it's like they come together and he helps her. And you know, it could have also fit the healing prompt because it does also feature her healing and her overcoming some of those mental barriers, but it was just, their relationship I think is still my absolute favourite out of any of the Side Changelings. and I thought this was beautifully written, and every time I read this book, by the end of it I am smiling, so I'm going to use this as my sunny. Next we have green, which is nature. For that prompt I've gone with the main character either is or has an animal companion. I realised that I've actually read very recently a book that has this. So I've chosen Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, and what I like is it does feature animal companions, but not in the way that you would think. And I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to spoil it, but it does have animal companions, but it's done in a really creative, really unique way, and I loved it so much. Second to last we have blue, which represents harmony. For that I wanted to go with a book cover that has really harmonious colours, and if possible, for like a bonus point I guess, whatever you're doing, is if the characters also harmonise well. And for that I chose Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nagan, because with this cover, that's the print just gone, the golds and the blues and the violets just go so beautifully and they create such a harmonious image, and the characters, they just go so well together as well. You've got Lee and Ren in this and they are just so good together and it's so harmonious, and it was such a beautiful read. It was also a very difficult read. It does have sexual abuse in there and it does come with all disclaimers, and I will just disclaim it now, but it is a story of strength and of breaking free from that abuse, and I thought it was a really harmonious cover, harmonious characters, so harmony. I've tried to pick books that do have LGBT representation in them as well. I've got a lot on my TBR that I haven't read yet that feature it. And then the final prompt has disappeared. The final colour is violet, and the prompt for that is spirit. What I've said is, this is a character that you feel embodies your spirit, so pick a character who represents you as close as you can. I originally had one character. I found an even better character to represent me, and that is Kath from Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I basically am Kath. I love to read fan fiction, I love to write fan fiction. I had a really unhealthy obsession with a series growing up. I currently write fan fiction for Marvel and I'm pretty obsessed with Captain America, especially Bucky Barnes. And I just felt like she reflected me so well. Like, I had the same insecurities, I still have the same insecurities. Kath, also throughout this book, she kind of learns to develop the confidence in her own writing abilities to be able to produce her own fiction. And as I've said in previous videos, that's where I'm at now, is I'm currently halfway through writing the scene cards for my novel, and hopefully by the end of this month I will start writing my first novel. And I just feel like her mental health issues and the worries she goes through are very similar to what I've been through, and the concerns she has about her dad. I had very similar concerns with my mum, and some of the situations she gets into, I've had the same situations, so I felt she very much was me. And so that's who I picked for that. So that is the Pride video. I hope you're having a great Pride month. If you liked that content, then don't forget to click the subscribe button below and press the little bell so you always get notifications. And feel free to leave me any comments about this video and let me know what your choices are. Better yet, consider yourselves tagged and do this tag challenge for yourselves and let me know what the results are. I'll see you on the next video. Ciao!